The overhead compartments clicked shut as passengers settled into their seats on Flight 447 to Chicago. Maya Richardson adjusted her seatbelt in first class, Seat 2A, exhausted from a week of business meetings in Miami. Her husband David had texted that he'd be home late, some crisis at work he couldn't discuss over the phone. A blonde flight attendant with a plastic smile and a name tag reading Christine moved through the cabin, her eyes scanning passengers with practiced efficiency. When she reached Maya's row, her expression shifted almost imperceptibly. "Excuse me," Christine said, her tone sharp. "I'm going to need to see your boarding pass." Maya looked up, surprised. "Is something wrong?" "Your boarding pass," Christine repeated louder this time. Several passengers glanced over. Maya retrieved it from her purse and handed it over. Christine examined it with exaggerated scrutiny, her lips pressed into a thin line. "This seat is first class. Are you sure you're in the right section?" The implication hung in the air like smoke. Maya felt her face grow warm. "Yes, I'm quite sure. That's my assigned seat." Christine's eyes narrowed. "First-class tickets are very expensive. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in economy." "I paid for this seat," Maya said firmly, keeping her voice level despite the anger building in her chest. "Is there an actual problem?" "The problem," Christine said, her voice dripping with condescension, "is that we have standards in first class. I'm going to need you to move." A businessman across the aisle looked uncomfortable. An elderly woman pretended to read her magazine. Maya's heart pounded, but she remained seated. "I'm not moving. I have every right to be here." Christine's face flushed red. In a sudden movement that seemed to shock even her, she raised her hand and slapped Maya across the face. The crack echoed through the cabin. Gasps rippled through the passengers. Maya sat frozen, her cheeks stinging, tears of shock and humiliation welling in her eyes. Christine stepped back, seemingly realizing what she'd done, but her defiant expression remained. "You need to learn your place," Christine hissed. "What is happening here?" A commanding voice cut through the tension. The captain emerged from the cockpit, his face grave. Behind him, a man in an expensive suit rushed down the jetway. David Richardson, CEO of Apex Airlines, who had been notified of a disturbance on one of his flights. David's eyes found Maya immediately, taking in her reddened cheek and tear-stained face. His expression transformed from concern to barely contained fury. "Maya," he said softly, moving to her side. Then he turned to Christine, his voice ice-cold. "What did you do to my wife?" Christine's confident demeanor crumbled, the color drained from her face. Your wife? I asked you a question," David said, his voice deadly calm. "Did you strike a passenger?" The cabin was silent. Every passenger watched, some recording on their phones. "I thought, she seemed..." Christine stammered, her carefully constructed superiority disintegrating. "I made a mistake." "You made several mistakes," David said. "You profiled a passenger based on her race. You questioned her right to sit in a seat she paid for. And then you committed assault." He turned to the captain. "Call security. I want her removed from this aircraft immediately." David knelt beside Maya, his hand gentle on her shoulder. "Are you okay? Do you need medical attention?" Maya shook her head, wiping her eyes. "I'm fine, just angry and tired. So tired of this." As security escorted a sobbing Christine off the plane, David made an announcement to the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for this inexcusable incident. What you witnessed was discrimination and assault by one of our employees, and I assure you it will be dealt with to the fullest extent. At Apex Airlines, we have zero tolerance for racism or abuse of any kind." He turned back to Maya. "I'm so sorry you had to experience this, especially on one of our planes. It's not your fault," Maya said quietly, "but it shows you what people like me deal with every day, even in 2024. David nodded grimly. "I know, and I'm going to make sure this is a turning point for the company. Better training, better accountability, real consequences." The flight eventually departed, 2 hours delayed. But news of the incident spread quickly. By the time they landed, Christine had been terminated, and Apex Airlines had issued a public statement committing to comprehensive anti-discrimination training and an independent review of their complaint procedures. Maya's story went viral, not as a tale of victimhood, but as a catalyst for change. She used her platform to speak about the everyday indignities faced by people of color, turning her painful experience into a broader conversation about respect, dignity, and equality.